Hi, I'm Chris with Premier Guitar. We're at the Montreal Guitar Show visiting with Michael Greenfield, who's going to tell us about a very special Archtop guitar that he made. Hi, Michael.
Hi, Chris.
So this guitar is the Black Cherry.
It is indeed the Black Cherry.
What's the Black Cherry about here?
Um, there's this fellow by the name of Jacques-André Dupont, who is the founding director of the Montreal Guitar Show and vice president of Spectra, which is the Montreal International Jazz Festival, and he's a guitar junkie. And as a matter of fact, his website is guitarjunkie.ca, I believe. And with his involvement and in the guitar show and having met all of these guitar makers, he came up with the idea that he really, and he's a collector himself, he likes to collect vintage electric guitars and amps and things. So he really decided he wanted to do something a little bit more meaningful, and he was speaking with myself and a couple other of my colleagues here around town and some of his other guitar friends, and he decided to focus his part of his collection, like really focused on something particular. So he really loved the Archtop guitar. So he decided to make an Archtop guitar collection, commission very specific builders to contribute, and then the theme that tied it all together was, in this case, the color red. And Scott Chinnery had the blue guitar collection, so Jacques-André decided to have the red guitar collection. So that was sort of the beginning, and he gave us carte blanche, do whatever you want, as long as somehow the color or red or something red had to be incorporated into the guitar. One day I was out having brunch at a local diner, a local eatery that has been around forever, and while walking by the cache, they have one of these gum display racks from the 1950s with the pinup girl sitting there holding the package of gum and smiling. And I thought, wow, how cool is that? So I called Jacques-André. I said, how do you feel about having some inlay art on your guitar, and more specifically, perhaps a pinup girl? I didn't want to tell him too much because I really wanted it to be a surprise. So he said, absolutely, go ahead. And I contacted Larry Robinson and described, I think I actually sent him a snapshot of the pinup girl from the 50s, and he ran with it. And then I got the idea of red and the pinup girl and cherries, and I said, okay, let's call it the Black Cherry. So we put together this guitar with the Black Cherry theme, and we have little cherries all over. There's even a cherry on the rear of the peg head. And I told him that's so that when he's playing and the guitar is in the playing position, in case he forgot that he was playing the Black Cherry, there'd always be a reminder. And that's actually cut out of black pearl, which is pretty cool.
Very cool. And materials for this guitar?
This is big leaf maple, yes. It's a guitar that gets played and there's a scratch in it. But it's Western big leaf maple with a European spruce top. It's all hand carved, as are all of my guitars, and I use a pretty unique asymmetric parallel bracing old style kind of thing. It's essentially very much an L5 with different sound holes. We talked about whether it should be a contemporary Archtop guitar with a 3-inch depth and 25-inch scale length, which is basically a Johnny Smith that everybody's building. And I said, how about like going more old school? Because you know, I used to make the Johnny Smith kind of guitar, and I obviously still do. And I made it with the 1 3/4-inch nut, which everybody makes, and I still do. But every time I would pick up one of those, like a Super 400 or an L5 or an L7, it's just go, man, this feels good. So I just went back to the 1 11/16 nut, and I've gone back to the 3 3/8-inch deep sides, and that's sort of standard. And I'll do whatever people want, of course, but. Anyway, that's where we went with this guitar, and he's thrilled. The only difference is we put these modern S-style sound holes, which has a slightly larger aperture than the normal ones, and it does alter the voice. It's not as dark a voice as a traditional L5 would be. It's a little bit more open sounding.
And this is a Ken Armstrong?
Yeah, this is a Ken Armstrong pickup. He winds all his pickups for me. This one was, I think it's an Alnico 3. It's not the regular Alnico 5. And it's wound to a tighter string spacing than the normal because all the guitars today are 1 3/4, so it's slightly tighter, and it's got a radius top that actually matches the bottom of my fretboard.
This is a very cool guitar.
It is a very cool. Thank
So people that are interested in Greenfield guitars can find you on the web at
greenfieldguitars.com.
easy enough. Michael, thank you. I'm Chris Burgess. You're watching PremierGuitar.com.